right, Jeremiah. We're going to end up at Jeremiah chapter 20, but...
Your button on?
Yes. He's not a...
But go to Jeremiah. We got a light. We know we have a lamp out, and we have another light out or two. So I got to get up there, but we'll get up there and get this back in order, ship shape. But I want to preach tonight. Let's see, what is today's date?
The 7th.
The 7th.
It's October 7th.
Wow. Oh, you know what? Last week was it Singspiration? It was singing. So I don't know when I prepped this. I think I prepped it the week before. And I estimated that so it's marked the 7th. So usually, I make this usually the Thursday before, but I didn't. We're going to end up at Jeremiah 20. That's going to be our ending point, and that's what and it also inspired the message this morning because I was in Jeremiah and I thought I'll preach on this. So I must have prepped this 2 weeks ago. You know what I did? I prepped it in anticipation of the sale so I could take Thursday and Friday off. That's what it was. So that's why I had to.
No wonder.
But I thought I would preach on the word quitting, even though it's not a Bible word, but who here hasn't wanted to quit? Anybody? Oh, you have not wanted to quit?
No, I've wanted to quit many a time.
Well, quit many times. Anything in particular you want to quit? Other
Working.
than life in general?
Working.
Huh?
Working.
Quit working. Anybody else want to quit anything? Quit.
My job?
Quit. Do you really?
Oh,
Pay
lately.
attention, hubby. She
Lately.
wants to quit. Well, get yourself in a position where you can. Yeah. Anybody else want to quit? Rich wants to quit. Quit. I mean, you know, every day you wake up and you might want to quit.
Just can't.
And, pardon?
Just can't.
And you can't.
Right.
You can't quit. Did Jeremiah have reasons to quit? Jeremiah had loads of reasons to quit. Did he quit? He did not quit. I look at certain ones, Haggai and Zechariah. One of them preached for, as far as a preacher, I think he preaches, you can date it, because the dates are given by months. One of them preaches for like 2.5 months. And it's over. You don't hear anything more from him. And Zechariah, it could have been years. Or one of them. But they were short term. Jeremiah, let's see here. 629 BC, let's see, at the end, 629, and it's 588, so 12 years, 39, 40, 41 years. 41 years he preached. Isaiah could have been 7 years. It's kind of like this, you're not quitting. Now we're talking in general about preachers, but listen, we want to apply this to your life and my life and give all these reasons why he wants to quit. I mean, they're legitimate reasons. Why he would like to quit. Do you think, now how old is President Trump? I may use him as an example. How old is he? Is he 70, 71, or 72? All right, let's go for the worst case scenario. 71.
Is that his average at golf?
Well, no, for 9, yeah. I know he golfs, but 71. Yeah, for 9 holes that would be bad. For 18, that's good. Yeah, that's pretty good. That'd be almost a scratch aim, but he's not a scratch aim. Anyway, at 71 years of age, that's 4 more years for me. In 4 years, I'd like to be in as good a shape as him. He's in pretty good shape. How old is Hillary Clinton? She's 68.
You're like 100.
Okay. Well, I don't
She's 15 years older than you. Do the math.
Okay. So she is 60. I think she's 68. And
Maybe not.
With the makeup and all, she doesn't. She could pass for a little younger. You take the makeup, then you probably not going to
paint goes a long way.
But you add, now we've already, I think 68 when she was running.
Yeah,
Now you've added 2 years to that, she's gotta be,
she's closer to 70.
she's closer to 70.
Yeah.
Now you're gonna add another 2 years onto that woman, she's gonna be near 72.
Of course, then
You
you
know, a lot happens in those 2 to 4 years, a lot happens.
gotta factor in the years that's piled up because of her hubby.
Oh, yeah.
And it'll wear you
Now,
down.
he's doing this blitz on these rallies. He likes to do the rallies. I heard it's because of the television or some other thing where he had to be able to speak like that. He's really not on teleprompter. He might have some 3x5s teleprompting to keep him on track, but he can go off track and do it. You think that he's pretty talented to be able to do that. Some think he's a buffoon. You know, there's zero talent. To keep going like that, there's got to be some talent there or ability to do things. Now, he's built these buildings. Did he dig the hole himself? No. Did he work the bulldozer? Did he lay the bricks? Did he mix the cement? Did he make the iron? Did he purchase the iron? Does he know how to work a riveter? Probably not.
Did he work for his dad before he got big?
But he did. But his children, I know, are not afraid to run the Caterpillar big ones. I know that they were trained, and he let them and permitted them to get their hands dirty in some of his these building projects. And then they were not only in the building projects, but in the management or the process of like the project engineer to oversee it.
Managers, yeah.
Yeah, to manage the building of it. So, I mean, that's a big undertaking. So if we begin, we're going to begin in verse 5, Jeremiah 1. Jeremiah 1, let's go, and we have all our words tonight. We have a ton of them. Tonight I have 17 of them. If we go 3 minutes apiece, that's 51 minutes, and we don't have that much time. So we'll do less than 3 minutes. The very first thing that if you're going to be, what would make you want to quit, let's say you were a young person, a 5-year-old, and you're shown you're going to do this, this, and this, and this. And you see, our first point are the requirements that are needed to be able to do this, to make and do this performance, or whatever it may be. And you see the requirements that are involved here. It may make you want to quit. You know, this is the job description. This is what you're supposed to do, and you may view that. And now you step back and you think, man, you know, it says sometimes a man is given responsibility, and that will be an hour coming up, and they can't handle it. They can't handle it. The requirement, much is given. It says here in verse 5, before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee, and before thou camest out of the womb, I sanctified thee. In other words, set apart for this special service. We don't know what the service is yet. We haven't finished the verse, but there's a sanctified, set apart, that is going to require certain requirements in order to do what he is supposed to do as a preacher. To whom much is given, much is required. So these requirements that he is to have. And a person may look in their arsenal, you know, of talents, and you might say, well, boy, I'm a day late and a nickel short. I don't seem to have all this stuff. But God promised it, right? He sanctified him, separated him for that, the requirements. But it may make him shake or desirous. Maybe I don't want to go out and do this. And I ordained thee, verse 5, a prophet unto the nation. So he's ordained a prophet. So, you know, the hands have like been placed upon him in like ordination and a prophet. The response, not only the requirements, but then he's given the responsibility, the requirements and the responsibility in order to perform these duties. The responsibility. And so he's a prophet. He's going to be overseeing this and venturing out. How many people work at GE? 10,000, 20,000, 30,000.
I'm not even sure.
100,000.
They keep on selling things.
Well, 2.5 million people worked at the rail line at one time. Now there's 200,000, and they move more material than ever before.
Now, when I started General Electric in '77, there was probably in northeast Ohio, so from the state line to...
All right, just in this region.
Yeah, in this general region, there was probably about 15,000 people.
15,000 people.
Now it's
Right,
around
all
100.
pulling together, you know, in their, whatever it is. Now, what if you were a one, now, Jeremiah is a one-man band. He's a one-man band. In the business world, if you're a one-man band, you're not going too far. Unless you're a diamond cutter, and you're the only one who can do it, whatever the responsibility is. But he's a one-man band. He's ordained a prophet unto the nations. And so he's got this responsibility to go unto the nations, plural. All right, in verse 6. So now he gives an excuse, or the reason, our third point, the reason why I can't go. I cannot go. I mean, you got the wrong man. He said, then said I, Lord God, behold, I cannot speak, for I am a child. So he gives a legitimate reason. And I can't do this. In fact, I'd rather just sleep. I'll sleep in. I hope, I'll pretend that I really wasn't called. I didn't hear the voice of God. I hope this goes away. But he gives a legitimate reason as to why he cannot do this. I know I saw an ad on the television. We had it on mute. There's this black kid. He has one arm. And it's a stub. Now, I don't know why he has a stub. I don't know if it's a birth defect or whatever reason it is. But I don't know. I think he's a professional ball player.
Yeah, he was drafted this last spring, and he's in the NFL.
Oh, he is in the NFL. I'm pretty sure that it's a success story here that he is progressed.
It's an ad for
into being
Nike, I think.
Professional athlete. Now, do you think he had 101 reasons not to do it? I mean, fella, you're missing an arm. How can you throw a ball, catch a ball, hike a ball, run with the ball, block, tackle? I mean, you are missing an arm. I think he goes out, he doesn't put on a fake arm, whatever you would call that, a fake arm. Maybe he goes out there just one arm.
He's missing a hand.
He's missing a hand, and it's I think
the
it's
wrist?
about this.
Is that the wrist?
Yeah, it's like right. It's
right.
not here. It's kind of up. Yeah, right like that.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a disadvantage, folks. He has got reason not to go, and now Jeremiah is probably underestimating his abilities that God gave him, not realizing, but he has a reason in which not to go forward. But the Lord said unto him, verse 7, say not I am a child, for thou shalt go, as far as being able to speak, for thou shalt go to all that I shall send thee. All right, when you go before people, a lot of people, and you're going to speak, would you be careful of what you're going to say?
At least something interesting.
Now listen, I don't want to offend anybody. I don't want to step on any toes. You're all pretty good people, and everything is okay. It's yours one here.
Peachy Keen.
But he doesn't say that. He said, you're gonna say whatever I command you. You're nothing more than a flat-footed whatever. Whatever he's commanded to say, and it may not be pretty. In other words, our fourth one here are risks. Man, there are risks involved. That you're going to have to go up to the king. You're going to have to go out to the people. You're going to have to go before them and say you're nothing more than a bunch of dirty, rotten sinners. Like Democrats. Listen, the Republicans walk on eggshells. I think they're finally getting some guts. Finally, one person had guts. Now they're coming out of the closet, speaking out, finally getting some guts, right? But you run risks when it says here, whatsoever I command thee, thou shalt speak. So there is risk involved here. Lord, you really want me to say that? Right there, could say it to a person, you run the risk of wearing your nose on the other side of your face. And as they say, you're going to have your face rearranged. Right? So there are risks involved. So when you get up, always remember there are risks involved in no matter what you are doing. Listen, if there were no risks, the greater the risk, the greater the what?
Reward.
The reward. The greater the risk, the greater the reward. All right, now is the stock market risky? There's high risk stock, moderately risk, and very low risk. Or you could sink it into bonds, and you're going to earn a small amount. But if you put it in high risk stocks, you can make a lot of money. And you can lose a lot. There's risk involved. It's not all peaches and cream. It's not all peaches and cream. But he has a good reason not to take this risk. This is a risky proposition. Verse 8. Be not afraid of their faces, for I am with thee to deliver thee, saith the Lord. It says, with this anger, be not afraid of their faces. The resentment. You're going to have, what you're going to receive back is a lot of resentment, a lot of arm crossing, a lot of dirty looks, a lot of scowling, a lot of, well, who are you? Right? It's still amazing to me. It's how, I don't know, I don't understand how people can think like a Democrat. I try to think like that. I've tried that, but it doesn't work. I can't get the connection because it's not reasonable. I don't see the reason. But there's going to be great resentment to whatever it is you're doing. Like, preacher, will you please quit? I don't want to hear what you have to say. Preacher, please quit. That is the title of the book, by the way. The resentment.
Is that the title of the sermon?
No, the title of my sermon is Quitting. Be not afraid of their faces. Why? For I am with thee to deliver thee, saith the Lord. So he has this promise, and that is the restraint that the Lord is going to, in other words, don't worry. You can call him a dirty, rotten sinner, and they're going to make a face at you, and they're going to double up their fist. But don't worry, he's not going to knock you. He's not going to rearrange your face because I'm going to stop them. All right, the restraint. But you can still desire to quit because, well, the Lord said he'll restrain him. But man, it's going to hurt if I get plastered. And you might say, man, I still don't know. Are you sure you're going to restrain them, Lord? Are you sure you're going to do that? I mean, he hasn't started in business doing this yet. So he may not be sure that the Lord is going to restrain them, and this is going to happen. I will lead to deliver thee. Verse 36, chapter 36, turn there if you would, of the same Jeremiah, chapter 36. I got it written down, so we must be supposed to go there. Verse 26. But the king commanded Jerahmeel, the son of Hamelech, and Sarai, the son of Azariel, and Shelemiah, the son of Abdel, to take Baruch the scribe and Jeremiah the prophet. But the Lord hid them. In other words, the Lord comes through. He makes this promise. He does come through. The restraint. And not in all cases here, but the restraint. He does do that. Now, turn, if you would, to Jeremiah 9. I'm giving you the reasons throughout Jeremiah as to why he decides or wants to quit. Oh, that my head were waters, and my eyes a fountain of tears, that I might weep day and night for the slain of the daughter of my people. In Lamentations, where is Jeremiah physically? I'm pretty sure. Physically, where is he in Lamentations?
In jail?
Pardon?
Is he in jail?
No. No, he's not in we're going to get there. But do you know where he is? I think he's sitting above or up on a hill overlooking Jerusalem. I'm pretty sure. And you say, oh, woe is me, woe is me. In other words, the remorse. Is that my next one? Yeah, the remorse. Who here likes to cry? Not cry wolf. Where really you have a broken heart. I mean, no one enjoys that.
I don't like when this happens.
Huh?
I don't like when this happens.
Only
Yeah.
happy tears.
When you're sad, it happens.
It happens. And you can't avoid it. It happens, the remorse. Well, he's going to have a whole lot of remorse. More than normal. A lot more than normal. And that may make him desire to quit. What if he knew he was going to be weeping? What do they call him? What prophet?
Weeping prophet.
The weeping prophet. He's just going to be bawling his eyeballs. That may make a person desire to quit. Desire to quit. With all this remorse. So along the way, though, in Jeremiah 9, this is where we were this morning, and that's verses 23 and 24. He gives Jeremiah, the Lord gives Jeremiah a little oasis, or a little place of a rest. That's our eighth one, the rest. Thus saith the Lord, let not the wise man glory in his wisdom, neither let the mighty man glory in his might. Let not the rich man glory in his riches, but let him that glorieth glory in this, that he understandeth and knoweth me, that I am the Lord, which exercise loving kindness. That's a good thing. Judgment, that could be a bad thing. And righteousness in the earth, that could be good or bad. For in these I delight, saith the Lord. So he gives Jeremiah a little bit of a rest, so that along the way he would glory in the Lord in all this. Right? A little bit of rest is promised down the road for him. A little bit of rest that is promised. Jeremiah 13. Turn there if you would. Jeremiah 13, verses 1 through 7. We'll go ahead and read this. Thus saith the Lord unto me, go and get thee a linen girdle. Anybody have a linen girdle? I threw out my mother's stuff. I had the wife go through the underwear. And to get the underwear out, and then some clothes, and whatever this girdle is. It is linen. It's linen, so it's not wool. And put it upon thy loins, and it says, and put it not in water. What do you normally want to do with your clothes? You want to wash them. Fella, you're not washing your clothes. Isaiah, he was commanded to walk out naked, buck naked. All right, so our ninth one of why I want to quit is, Lord, I'm a little reluctant to wear this linen that I'm not supposed to wash. Isaiah could really go that way. You're commanding me, how long did he walk buck naked? I don't think it's a month or two. I thought it was 3 years. I can look it up, but he had to walk around.
I thought the army was hard.
Yeah. So I got a girdle, according to the word of the Lord, and put it on my loins. And the word of the Lord came unto me a second time, saying, take the girdle that thou hast got, which is upon thy loins, and arise, go to Euphrates, and hide it there in a hole of the rock. So he takes it up and puts it there. Now, did he wear other things? It doesn't say what he's wearing. Maybe he wore nothing there. So I went and hid it by the Euphrates, as the Lord commanded me. And it came to pass after many days that the Lord said unto me, arise, go to Euphrates, and take the girdle from thence which I commanded thee to hide thee. Then I went to Euphrates and digged and took the girdle from the place where I had hid it, and behold, the girdle was marred. It was profitable for nothing. Right? So he could have been reluctant to do this. Not wash it, stick it in the hole. By the way, what happens to all that stuff? If you have, what animal almost became extinct in America? Say it out loud.
Buffalo.
The buffalo. Were there a few buffalo hides in the Smithsonian? I would assume so. After a while, what happens to them?
Falls apart.
Probably falls apart and finally disintegrates, even with care. Even with care. So this linen girdle that's in there is going to be marred and fall apart a little faster. But no matter how good you take care of it, depending on like a book, like depending on the paper, it disintegrates. If it's the old paper, it stays together better. Not 1880, but 1780. It stays together better. It doesn't fall apart. But folks, it's falling apart. Now, the point isn't why he had to do it. The point is he had to do it. And so he may want to quit because, man, I got to walk around with this thing that I'm not supposed to wash, then I'm supposed to hide it, then I'm supposed to get it. There could be a reluctance to do this. Jeremiah 16, our next R word. Usually when a person it could be between the ages of 16 and 30, as a general rule, 16 to 30, what do two people do, a man and a woman? They get married. Give me the R word for that.
A relationship?
Oh, that's a good word, but no, I want more of a loving one.
Romance.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, relationship would have been probably a better choice, but let's just get right down to the crust. Romance. I just want a little romance. Isn't that what Ernest E. Bass says? A little
Yeah.
romance. He wants a little romance, right? What is Jeremiah commanded not to do?
Uh-oh.
He's commanded not to take a wife. Not to take. What happens to Ezekiel? And in the morning, she died. And he was not permitted to mourn. Took a wife, she dies, and he's not permitted to weep over her. So why is Jeremiah commanded not to take the wife?
He's going to see her again.
Now, give me a good reason. It's going to be hard what's happening to Jerusalem. It's going to be razed, and all those people are going to be killed. Right? Probably because your wife is going to be murdered. If you have any children, they're all going to be murdered, probably slain right before your eyes. So he's commanded, you're not to have any romance. Well, if I take this job, I can't even get married. He's told right up front. All right? Jeremiah 16, verses 2 through 4. Thou shalt not take thee a wife, neither shalt thou have sons or daughters in this place. For thus saith the Lord concerning the sons and concerning the daughters that are born in this place, and concerning their mothers that bare them, and concerning their fathers that begat them in this land. They shall die of grievous death. They shall not be lamented, in other words, no crying over them, neither shall they be buried, but they shall be as dung upon the face of the earth, and they shall be consumed by the sword, by famine, and their carcasses shall be meat for the fowls of heaven and for the beasts of the earth. Was the Lord doing him a favor by not getting married? Yep. In the end, the Lord was really doing him a favor. But he could have wanted, desired a wife so bad, I want to quit this. I don't want to quit this. I want to get married. Romance. Jeremiah 20. Go to Jeremiah chapter 20, verse 10. For I heard the defaming of many, fear on every side. Report, say thee, and we will report it. All my familiars watched for my halting, saying, peradventure he will be enticed, and we shall prevail against him. We shall take and here's our next one, our revenge on him. That people are going to seek revenge on Jeremiah. We're going to get even with most likely your prophecy that you're making. Buddy, we're going to get you on night you won't even be able to sleep at night. You're going to sleep not with one eye open. You're going to sleep with both eyes open. We're going to get you. We're going to get you. The people are going to seek their revenge. Their revenge. I mean, that gives you a good reason not to. Well, if I go down there in the old neighborhood, man, there's a half a dozen people coming for me. Right? Like an old Western. Revenge. Jeremiah 21, verses 1 through 3. word which came unto Jeremiah from the Lord, when King Zedekiah sent unto him Pashur the son of Melchiah and Zephaniah the son of Mashiach the priest, saying, Inquire, I pray thee. They want him to inquire of the Lord for us. For Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, maketh war against us. It's getting tough out here. If so be that the Lord will deal with us according to all his wondrous works, that he may go up from us. All right? That's how, and then said Jeremiah unto them, Thus shall ye say to Zedekiah. We won't say what he says to Zedekiah. What does he say? In verse 4, Behold, I will turn back the weapons of war that are in your hands. All right? Turn back their, not their weapons, their own weapons. In other words, it's curtains. In other words, they want him to recant of this bad, the bad omens that are being given here. Recant that. And Jeremiah cannot go back on that. Recanting. Jeremiah 31. Jeremiah 31. Verse 15. Thus saith the Lord, a voice was heard in Ramah, lamentation and bitter weeping. Rahel weeping for her children, refused to be comforted for her children because they were not. So what is that verse? What is that verse? Where do you see that verse in the Bible? That's right. So he gave revelation. He may not want to give revelation of what? Bad news. A revelation of what took place in Matthew. That he was commanded to give this revelation. He may not want to do that. The revelation. Jeremiah 32, verses 6 through 15. Jeremiah said, The word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Behold, Hanamel, the son of Shallum, thine uncle, shall come unto thee, saying, Buy thee my field that is in Anaroth, for the right of redemption is thine to buy. So what does he do? He's commanded to buy his uncle's field. All right? So there's a deed, and his uncle sells him. His uncle sells him. Hey, you know when the Germans are coming, what do the French do? Boy, things are pretty cheap. Hey, you always wanted to buy this. Will you give, they're trying to get a plane ticket to get out of town. So they're willing to sell cheap. And so the uncle's now willing to sell cheap. What does he buy? What does he buy? Well, it says even 17 shekels of silver, verse 9. 17 shekels of silver. And he sells it. And so, when you work, you want the R word there is your results. At the end of the week, what do you want to get?
Retirement.
At the end of the week, your paycheck. Fella, you're not getting your paycheck till the millennium because you had to put the deed in what kind of a vessel?
Clay vessel.
A clay
Earthen
vessel.
jar.
I don't know if it
Earthen
says clay.
vessel.
An earthen vessel, and he's to bury it. And they're going to dig that up thousands of years later. They're going to crack that open, and he owns that deed to that property, and he's going to live there. Jeremiah's going to live there because he bought it the uncle's property. But the results that you're going to get, folks, you're not getting it now. We're getting it later. And people may want to quit because, well, they want their gold now. We're getting our gold later. And people may want to quit as a result of that. The results that you're looking for. Jeremiah 36, verses 1 through 26, to make a long story short. Is there anything going on out there? Are there people out there?
There were.
There were? Are they gone? Sir, are they gone?
They are gone.
They are gone, thank you. Jeremiah 36. I don't want to read all of this. Verses 1 through 26. 1 through 26. And that is this, that the things that Jeremiah said made it into the king's chamber. In other words, you may start out without realizing how far, and this is our next R word, the reach, how far this reach. You know, lo and behold, you get an audience with the president. Lo and behold, you're going to be brought up before the Supreme Court. Lo and behold, what you were doing, it went beyond the city council of Bedford. It made it to Columbus. And a person may want to quit because, man, I didn't want to go that far. It might reach all the way to the king. So the reach, how far it goes, the reach. Jeremiah 38. And we're making good time here. We're almost like a minute apiece here, 2 minutes apiece. Jeremiah 38, 6 through 13. This is the one where he goes to the dungeon. Look at verse 13. Let's just go to 13 to end this. So they drew up Jeremiah. I have a reason I need to get home. And they drew up Jeremiah with cords, took him out of the dungeon. Jeremiah remained in the court of the prison. Where did he sink into, by the way? When he went into the what? Into the mire. He was in the mire. And then how did they get him out? Now, folks, this is not the Waldorf Hotel. This isn't this is a juvie, or the place where the razor wire is. That when you're on Broadway there in downtown Cleveland, you're lowered into the mire. They're lowered in. How'd they get him out? And there was something like rags, and they put it was the clots in the arm. He puts it, and he has to hook it under his arms, and they have to pull him out of there. How did you like that? You couldn't last so long in there. How would you even eat? I don't know. So what do they call this? All those that are against Trump, they're part of the what? The resist. That's our second to last one. How many is that? 16. The resistance, folks. There's going to be resistance. There's going to be resistance. That's going to make you want to quit. But if there's resistance, it must mean you're on the right path. Right? The resistance. Did Jeremiah quit? You're wrong. Right? He did quit. And he said, I quit. When did he do it? But what did he do? Man, I'm done. Lord, you lied to me. I'm not cut out for this. He quits. But he said, but I couldn't, what's the word? It's an S word. I could not.
Sleep.
No. Stand. I could not stay. I could not stay. To stay means to stop. I could not stay. I had to say it. I had to keep going. So our last point is he had and this is what we all need so we don't quit. Why don't you quit? Because you what? You can't. You got to be resolved. He was resolved to go forward. Jeremiah 20, and this is where we didn't begin. I said, but that's our verse, and where we're going to go for the end. Verses 7 through 9. Jeremiah 27 through 9. O Lord, thou hast deceived me, and I was deceived. Thou art stronger than I, and hast prevailed. I am in derision daily. Everyone mocketh me. I mean, he was the scourge of the land. For since I spake, I cried out. I cried violence and spoil, because the word of the Lord was made a reproach unto me, and a derision daily. Then I said, I will not make mention of him, nor speak any more in his name. What did he do? He quit. I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm out of here. I'm out of here. But his word was in my heart as a burning fire, shut up in my bones, and I was weary with forbearing. With forbearing, in other words, it was, he couldn't hold on any longer. And I could not stay. I could not stop. For I heard the defaming of many, fear on every side. Reports say they, all right, so he has the resolve, and he keeps on trucking. So you ever feel like quitting? Well, Jeremiah felt